Hello and thank you for joining me for Final Cut Pro X. This is the beginner series. My name is Garabed Setrakian and I'm happy you're joining me for this series especially made for anyone who wants to edit with Final Cut Pro and get started very quickly. Alright, so in this 13 series I've made short videos that you could quickly go through. You could go back and forth between the episodes. Feel free to pause and stop. Alright, essentially, and one particular thing we'll be doing is we'll be working with the old 4:3 aspect ratio in Final Cut X. Even though it's very friendly for high definition, I'm assuming some of you who may have old DV cameras and which were essentially tape-based, right? So if you still want to capture those tapes and work with them and maybe even turn them into high def, so look out for advanced workshops on this. I will definitely show you how to work with this types of video. Okay, so this first episode is going to be just general introductions, and do know you could capture from many devices, and I will explore all the formats in detail as we get to them. And of course, today it's all about just getting a general user interface intro, so let's get to it. Look for first Final Cut X on the dock, and mine is located on the right. I believe at CCTV most of the icons are set more on the left, so it pretty much looks like this. I'm going to go ahead and click that. Now as I'm clicking Final Cut, it's about to start and open, and I just want to quickly show you guys that by the way, we've already upgraded to 10.08 at CCTV. Now here's Final Cut. I've got a whole bunch of files open, and typically at CCTV you're going to have the same type of scenario, so I'm just preparing you guys for that. Usually you're going to see, if someone is teaching a class, for example, you're going to see some events relating to that class, or maybe someone is practicing with Final Cut X. So here are the major areas of the user interface that I want to just address, because I feel one of the first things people get confused by is the interface, and especially for Final Cut 7 users. Alright, so if I have a project or if I open up Final Cut, I'm going to immediately see all the events. So this is my event library. This top left area is my event library. If nothing is selected, I'm not going to see anything there, but if I click on these purple icons, these are representing my events. Okay, my event library can hide with the bottom left icon here. And so it's important to know that sometimes when you can't see your event library, just go ahead and click that icon. When you're looking at an event library, these are the purple icons are the events in there, and you typically want to also pay attention to this top area where you want to see, for now, all the clips in that event. Okay, and I'll get into the more detailed why these options are available here later on, but essentially this is all clips, and here's an event. On the bottom area here, I have different ways to view different items in my event. This is, for example, a PSD file that came in as a composite. Here's a multicam. We're going to get into all the details of what these are, but essentially I can come here where there are videos, for example. Alright, and I can alternate between my views. There's the film strip view. The film strip view is a better view. Typically, when you're on the film strip view here, you want to have this at all. So you're not seeing, having it maybe like that is going to really zoom in, and this is more for detailed editing. I prefer the clip view, so that's the one on the left, and I'm zooming in to see the whole of the clip like that. And now I could see all clips. Alright, now this yellow area here we're going to get into later on, but essentially that's your range. I've got a monitor area in the midsection. I could zoom into the monitor. Okay, and when I zoom in like that, here I'm zoomed in by just clicking on the top right area and zoomed into 200%. This little icon represents me really zoomed in, and I could take a really close look at subjects in my video. Okay, I'm rotating this little red icon that's over here, which turns into a hand, and I'm moving it around. Okay, I could also just fit the video. Alright, I have also on the bottom left of the video different things relating to transform controls, cropping and distorting, which I'm going to get into later on. Simple play controls. A nice feature of the monitor is the fact that I could make something full screen. That you're going to be able to switch back and forth from. I hit escape, by the way, to get out of that. Escape on the top left of your keyboard is going to get you out of full screen mode. Okay, and I'm pausing it by pressing spacebar or pressing pause or play there. Alright, now to the right of the monitor, I've got what's called the inspector. The inspector is a good one to know, and I'm clicking, as you can see, this almost mid button, second from the last, and this brings up my inspector here. Okay, the inspector is always changing, reflecting what I'm selected on. So here I've selected an audio on the timeline, and I could see properties related to the audio. Or maybe I come to the event browser and I click that clip, and now I'm seeing properties related to that clip. Alright, right below this area, of course, this is my timeline. And the second most important area in Final Cut X, which is my project library. Now, how this works is in relation to the event library on the top here. On the top left, you've got the event library. And on the bottom, you've got your timelines and your projects. And when I click this bottom left icon, this is going to show me my event library. Okay? Now, this is why the inspector is really good to have. When you're in the event library, the inspector tells me, what is this project a part of, or which event is it a part of. In Final Cut, we're going to talk about that later on, but essentially you've got events and projects, and so if I want to see my things related to the project here, the property inspector is showing me that. Okay, I'm going to continue on with the interface tour. I'm hiding the project library and just coming to the timeline view now. And so on the midsection here, I've got a whole series of very conveniently placed effects. So starting on the left side here, and past these two magical icons, is my my filters, access to my photos and my hard drive, access to music. In fact, I could bring in all types of loops here, which is really cool. We'll talk about that later on. I've got a whole set of transitions and a really powerful tool that Final Cut's titler, a huge improvement from Final Cut 7. And you've got titles here. Now, as I move on, here are my generators, and I've got here themes. Themes are essentially preset animations and text that is animated, and you just customize it, and you get preview themes just by browsing, rolling over them. Alright, I'm going to continue on. This is simply an interface tour. Now, here's the interesting thing to know about this area, is that at any time when I'm on any effect, if I just click it again, like for example, I just click the filters to see the filters. If I click the filter button again, I've just expanded my space. So clicking on an effect or clicking it again will expand your timeline space area here. Now, looking at a project from my project library here, this is the StarCab project, for example, which is only an audio project. I'm going to come to SIP Chroma, for example. This is part of my SIP Chroma event. I'm going to double click that. Now I'm in the SIP Chroma project. Okay, you're moving around from one project to another by coming to the project library. But essentially, when I'm looking at a project, this is the SIP Chroma. The title is appearing up here. Okay, I've got things like my this is called the skimmer. Okay, the skimmer allows me to quickly move my mouse around a video clip and quickly skim what's in that video. Alright, so it's a nice way of scrubbing a video. If I turn audio skimming, which is the one next to it here, I will be able to skim essentially scrub through the video and the audio at the same time. This can get annoying though, because as you skim the timeline, you're going to hear all types of audio. Alright, so I'm going to turn that off. Okay? Now, I want to just also, for those of you who are just starting Final Cut and just looking at your interface, and if you don't see clips, of course, at this point I just want to remind you, this is assuming that you're working here at CCTV as a member, and we're assuming that we've got all types of projects that you've worked on and all types of events. Okay, next I want to show you that you could bring up your velocity meters or your audio levels by clicking this in this mid-section area. I'm simply single-clicking this audio velocity meter, and it shows up my velocity meter. This is my audio volume. So here you can see the volume here is controlled. Alright, this is my time code, so I can, of course, just go to any area of the time code by just clicking in there, just like old Final Cut. Let's say I want to go to the second minute, 2:00:00. And there I'm at the second minute where there's nothing, but if I go to the 30th second, 30:00, now I'm at the 30th second of this video. And interesting and unique and new to Final Cut X is this little background tasks. So as I'm importing things, this will change. I'll get more into the details of that, but this is a whole bunch of background events that go on. If you click on it, you get to see this window called background tasks. You can go ahead and close that. I'll get to that later on by simply clicking the X on the top left. Alright, now in this midsection, this is where the big gusto of your editing tools are. So I've got my keyword collections, which I'll get into, and of course Final Cut's great rating system, which is with these stars. Of course I've got my editing tool here. This is my shortcut E, which is for append. We'll talk about that later. This is for inserting clips and connecting to the timeline. And in this area, if I click and drop down, I see my tool sets. Notice there's no pen tool, if those of you who are looking for a pen tool from Final Cut 7, but later on we'll discuss as to why that is. Alright, this almost concludes with the exception of this area here. So again, this is the project library. How do I get to the project library? Essentially in Final Cut, these are your most important areas. Clicking this bottom left icon to see your project library and all the projects you've created related to all these purple events arranged neatly and nicely by date. Okay, that concludes our interface tour for understanding just generally where things are, and I'm going to get into the details of each of these elements as we get into the tutorials. So thanks for joining me, and look out for episode 2 out of 13 coming up next.